Say it with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Say it with me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Two men convicted of sexual conduct with children arrested by Border Patrol agents in separate incidents along the Arizona border over the weekend. 34-year-old Abigail Calvo was caught crossing the border near Naco Sunday afternoon. He had been convicted of lewd acts with a child under 14 in 2012. On Sunday evening, 33-year-old Juan Herrera Gameros crossed the border west of Douglas. Agents found he had been convicted in Bisbee of having sexual conduct with a child back in 2005. Both men are still in custody and are facing felony immigration charges.
United States Border Patrol agents arrested this 32-year-old previously convicted of indecency with a child in Dallas County. Henry Zelaya Flores was sentenced to 2 years in prison in 2016. He was deported from the United States in 2017. U.S. border agents say that they caught him illegally entering the United States from Mexico through the desert. near Sells, Arizona. He now faces federal prosecution for re-entry immigration violations.
A convicted sex offender trying to cross the border with a group of migrants in El Paso. Investigators say 42-year-old Julianito de Jesus Diaz from El Salvador crossed the border Saturday with a large group of migrants near downtown El Paso. During a records check, investigators say they found the man had been convicted of molesting a child in Florida, where he served a year in prison before being deported.
A Sanford man is charged with sexually assaulting a 3-year-old little girl, and police say the accused was in the country illegally. Douglas House Flores was charged with first-degree sexual assault and risk of injury to a minor. Investigators say Flores is from Guatemala and lived in the same home as the victim and her family. Police say House Flores admitted to sexually assaulting the girl when the mother wasn't home. He's being held on a $250,000 bond.
Dover police say an undocumented immigrant wanted for raping a 6-year-old girl in Delaware was arrested in South Carolina. Police arrested 34-year-old Juan Carlos Hernandez Thursday. He was wanted for second-degree rape of a minor since October 2018. The FBI contacted Dover police New Year's Eve after receiving a tip Hernandez was in Beaufort County. Police say Hernandez's location was unknown for some time, and it was possible he returned to Mexico. Right now, he is awaiting extradition to Delaware.
Detectives arrest a 24-year-old illegal immigrant after he allegedly sexually assaults a 4-year-old. Ishmael Lopez Alvarez from Edwards faces a Class 4 felony after the alleged sexual assault was reported by the victim's parents. According to the Eagle County Sheriff's Office, the incident took place at the victim's residence after Lopez Alvarez was invited over for dinner by the victim's family. Lopez Alvarez was booked into the Eagle County Detention Facility on a $7,500 bond. Officials say Alvarez is illegally in the U.S.
Alfredo Lopez Cruz, an illegal immigrant who is living in Hamilton. He is the only suspect in the kidnapping and rape of a 9-year-old girl in Hamilton. The attack happened in 2005, but when Cruz was identified as a suspect, he took off, fled the country to return to Mexico. The community was outraged. It was immediate and intense. The house where the rape happened was burned to the ground in an arson, and we saw a lot of tension in the Hispanic community there.
I, Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic. Hello, American patriots, and welcome to another episode of the Douglas Ducote Show. Tonight, it's going to be a little intense, and you know what? That's just how it has to be. We're going to show you what it actually means to be okay with open borders. Those that are running on the Democrat ticket right now to go up against President Trump, or they don't necessarily have to be running to be a Democrat. Those that are Democrats, those that are liberals, even those that are Republicans that believe we should have open borders and we should do away with ICE and customs and border patrol because, we don't need borders. Well, as far as we're concerned at the Douglas Ducote Show, and as far as American patriots are concerned, then you're okay with child molesters, you're okay with drug traffickers, you're okay with MS-13 gang members, you're okay with all the violence and rape and sex trafficking that comes across that border on a daily basis, 24/7, that our brave men and women on the border are fighting to try and stop. You're okay with that. That's what it means to be voting right now with any of these folks that are trying to become the next president and go up against Trump. Also, we're going to have my guest tonight is going to be Sheriff Bill Wayborn from Tarrant County, Texas, and we're going to discuss the things that he has been facing in his county and exactly what he has in his jail right now that is just absolutely shocking. And it's only one county out of many across this border. But before I get into that, I'd like to take a moment to say to all those in Nashville, Tennessee, our thoughts and prayers are with you with this devastating tornado that ripped through there. there's been a lot of loss of lives, businesses, and homes. And we wish everybody a speedy recovery and rebuilding all that area. And we definitely send out our thoughts and prayers to all those that lost loved ones. I have a lot of friends that live in the Nashville area. A lot of my friends that are in the music industry, as well as my producer is in Nashville. And they were very blessed that nothing came bad in their direction. So to all those in Nashville, you're in our thoughts and prayers this evening and throughout the rebuilding that you have to do. I also want to reach out and say that Rusty is doing better. I know last week, last week, Monday night, I think, during the Patriot panel, as well as last Thursday during the Douglas Ducote show, a lot of people were asking about Rusty. How's he doing? And I talked to last night with his cousin Alan, who said he's doing a lot better. Once they were able to get the proper antibiotics in him, back on his medications, get him hydrated again, he's doing a whole lot better. He's not out of the water by any means. He's got a long way to go. So please keep your thoughts and prayers going for Rusty. But he's doing better, and we will be down there soon to see him, and maybe even get another interview with him and talk about how he's doing personally. So we got that plan. And the other thing I want to do a shout out for, because I want people to go over there and check this out. Not because I want this guy to pick up any more subscribers or views, but because it's just absolutely insane. And it shows you how important the election is in November, not just the White House, but also winning the midterms, getting the House back and keeping the Senate. There's a guy, Dougie Ducote is what he goes by. So he's using my name, except he uses Dougie instead of Douglas. Same last name, Ducote. And this guy is a flaming gay, rotten teeth hillbilly stalker of mine. And all he does is he puts out videos with just one lie after another. That is just, this is the prime example. He is the poster child of what we are up against with this election. This guy is it, folks. You want to talk about mentally deranged and having some serious issues? Don't take my word for it. You got to go over there and watch his videos. Any of them, pick one. It's absolutely insane. You will come away laughing, I guarantee you, at the absolute ridiculousness that this guy is pumping out there. I also want to tell you, when we go to the break, we will have the sheriff will be on with us. And after Sheriff Wilborn is with us, then we will open the phone lines up. So the number will be down at that time at the bottom of the screen. You'll be able to call in, and hopefully we get as many of your calls tonight as we possibly can. All right, so let's talk about some of these people that the Democrats don't seem to have a problem with, because, when an illegal alien is brought into custody for whatever reason, these sanctuary city mayors do not want to work with ICE. We know that. They've been talking about it. They're openly talking about it. They don't have a problem at all keeping the illegal aliens in their communities, regardless of their crime. That's the part that's so mind-boggling. It's one thing to be okay with illegals living in your community, all right? Although I'm all for people living in America from other countries legally and going through the proper process like our forefathers did, okay? But for those that are okay with them living here, that's one thing. But to have somebody getting released back in your neighborhood who raped or beat up or was drunk and during a DUI and killed somebody, to allow that to keep happening is just, it doesn't make any sense. You can't make this make sense. Why there are people on the left and Democrats that are okay with this. So the main case that I want to talk about, and this just took place, a Mexican immigrant who was released by Chicago authorities despite ICE telling them not to, went on a rape spree. He raped a 3-year-old girl in a McDonald's restaurant as she started screaming and crying for her dad. Christopher, and I can't even pronounce the last name, so I will spell it, Puente. He's 34, is accused of sexually assaulting the girl at the restaurant at 600 North Clark Street in the River North area of the city at around 8 p.m. on February 19th. The alleged attack happened while the girl's father was in another stall with her brother, who had an accident in the restaurant. So he took his son in the one stall, had his daughter go in the other. So he's there. He doesn't have his wife with him, what have you. And in comes this freak. However, ICE had requested that police continue to detain this guy when he was previously had been deported on felony charges and convicted of forced entry, burglary, and forgery. Despite his background, Chicago denied ICE's June 19th request to keep him detained. ICE has said this is an increasingly common battle, with the agency reporting that Cook County, which includes Chicago, denied more than 1,000 detainer requests in 2019 alone. So let's stop and think about this for a second. This is a person who has committed a crime grievous enough to be in our jail system or prison system. So they've committed a crime. Then you find out that they're here illegally, and then you're okay letting them back out into your community, knowing their past felony convictions and being here illegally and not letting ICE know about it. Well, that's what happens if AOC, for instance, becomes president one day. This guy, bond hearing in Cook County, during the bond hearing, little girl's mouth was covered. She began whimpering for her dad before her father was able to reach underneath the door and pull her out to safety. The horrific ordeal was relayed in court, where the accused rapist appeared for the first time. The field director of Chicago's enforcement and removal operations blamed irresponsible lawmakers for this release. And yeah, I agree 100%. How many more victims must there be before lawmakers realize that sanctuary policies do not protect the innocent? That's a pretty straightforward statement right there. They do not protect the innocent. That's no different than taking away our guns. By doing so, doesn't protect the innocent. Puente should have been in ICE custody last year and removed to his home country. Instead, irresponsibly, lawmakers allowed him to walk free and pry on the most vulnerable. Every single Chicago authority involved in the release of this animal should be removed from office and arrested for rape, because they are as much to blame as the monster who did this. These sanctuary cities are literally killing and abusing American citizens so that elected officials can tout all their points during their next election cycle. In Chicago, mayor refusing to cooperate with ICE, she should be removed and arrested. She is to blame for the 3-year-old's rape. Now, that's the leading horror story, current, that just took place, and it's in Chicago. Imagine what's happening south of Chicago, things that we've brought you and showed you when we've done trips down to the border. While we're on this, Illegal alien fugitives accused of unspeakable violence against children so bad that they have made the FBI's most wanted list. And I was going to bring up their pictures when I talk about them here, but it was so disgusting that I chose not to. But if you want to see what they look like, because they are on the most wanted, some of the pictures are kind of distorted, but these guys hopefully are found soon. Franz Dohanon, Dieudonne, age 50, a chemist and nursing assistant from Haiti, is sought for his alleged involvement in sex crimes of a minor after being indicted in Illinois and Utah from November 2001 through May of 2002. He allegedly traveled across state lines from Pennsylvania to Utah to engage in sex with a 15-year-old. Rene F. Ramirez, 38, Mexican national, is wanted for his alleged involvement in the possession and receipt of child pornography. From approximately June of 2007 through December 2009, it is alleged that Ramirez was involved in the trafficking of child pornography via computers in the New York City area. Oh, another place where there's sanctuary cities. A federal arrest warrant was issued for Ramirez in the United States District Court, Southern District of New York, on March 7th, 2011, and he's still at large. He was charged with possession and receipt of child pornography. Gerardo Cruz Hernandez, 32, June in 2014, Mexican national, was charged in Norristown, Pennsylvania with multiple counts of forcible rape, rape of a child, statutory sexual assault, involuntary deviant sexual intercourse, unlawful contact with a minor, indecent assault, simple assault, reckless endangerment of another person, terrorist threats, and corruption of minors. You pissed off yet? Geraldo Belletri, 64. The Mexican national is wanted for alleged lewd and lascivious conduct in 1991 with 4 female victims under the age of 14. He held a position as a Catholic priest in Sacramento, California. And he used that position to trust these families and get to the victims. Gustavo Cruz, 54, Mexican national. He was a migrant worker. Oh, we need migrant workers, right? Is wanted for allegedly repeatedly molesting an 11-year-old and recording the attacks on his cell phone in Indianapolis from January 1st, 2016 to March 29, 2017. Juan Najera Coanza, 61, Mexican national, who worked in landscaping, is sought for alleged involvement in a sexual abuse of a 6-year-old girl in Chicago back in 2007. And the last Democrat voter that I'd like to talk about is Jose Barreros, 45. Mexican national is wanted for his alleged involvement in the rape of a young girl in Fort Smith, Arkansas. The rape allegedly occurred from the time the victim was, you ready for this? 5 years old until she was 11 when it was reported. Folks, that is just a few of their literally thousands, and I'm not making this up. You can contact any sheriff on a Texas border town or law enforcement throughout this country, federal, county, state, hell, Freedom of Information Act, to see the literally thousands of illegal immigrants in America that have been charged with violent crimes, and not just sex crimes, but other things, attack, assault, battery, DUI, and the other person's killed. And these sanctuary cities, letting them back out into the community and not turning them over to ICE. This is batshit crazy on a level that is insanity, and it needs to stop. And it can be stopped. And why the Department of Justice is not already doing this is beyond me, because they're talking about, oh, we're going to strip money away from these sanctuary cities, and they're going in and out of court battles. The hell with all that shit. Guess what? The Department of Justice has the right, full legal right, that will be backed up all the way to the Supreme Court, because it's already a law in the books that you cannot harbor illegal aliens or criminals. So you send in the federal authorities to arrest the mayors of every sanctuary city. And any member of law enforcement, as in a sheriff or a police chief, or even for that matter, if the governor is not doing anything of that state because of that sanctuary city, you put their ass in jail. And guess what will stop immediately? Sanctuary cities. That's how you fix this shit. Why we continue to pass laws and take shit to court and do all this absolute craziness that is allowing more people to be injured and hurt and killed daily. Daily. People are being raped, murdered, injured, attacked, drugs coming across the border, MS-13 gang members assaulting people, all because of sanctuary cities and Democrats that want to do away with our border and refuse to work with ICE and federal authorities. So if we just do what we already have the right to do, which is go in and arrest these people, then we can put an end to this madness, and no other families have to suffer because an American mayor or American official let this animal back out on the street to hurt or kill their loved one. Many of these angel families, matter of fact, every one of these angel families, I don't know why I said many, every one of the angel families, and if you don't know what an angel family is, look it up. There are those that lost loved ones because of the acts of somebody that was here illegally. There is absolutely no reason for there to be angel families. None. Because these people should not be here in the first place. And if you think for 1 second that it is okay to allow them to be here, not going through the proper process and being vetted to find out who they are and what their background is, or that they're in custody and then released, then you need to look up one of these angel families like I have and go out to dinner with them. Sit down with them. Let them talk to you about their loved one that was killed because of an illegal alien that came across the border and didn't get caught, or in some cases deported numerous times and came back and then killed their loved one. It's absolutely crazy. And it needs to stop. And the only way for it to stop is for our Department of Justice to stop screwing around and do what's already on the books and take out the leaders of these sanctuary cities and be done with this shit once and for all. All right, my friends, I'm going to take a really quick break, and then we're going to jump right back into this with Sheriff Bill Wayborn. He's from Trent County, Texas, to discuss this further. And as soon as that we're done talking about this. We will have the phone lines open for you to call in, so you can go ahead and get ready to do that, and we'll take your questions. I'll be right back. Hello, American Patriots. Douglas Ducote here. The Second Amendment, it's not for hunting. It's for protecting ourselves against our government. Well, the last thing you need to worry about is your weapon being rusted and not working. Folks, here's your product. FirearmGuard.com. Use promo code DOUG for free shipping. This will protect your weapon from any rust and mildew issues. I, Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic. And we are back. My guest tonight is Sheriff Bill Wayborn of Tarrant County, Texas. Sheriff Wayborn has been the sheriff for just over 3 years there, but he has a long career in law enforcement. Sheriff, welcome to the program, and we're glad you're able to be with us today.
Well, thank you for having me, Doug.
Can you tell our audience a little bit about your experience in law enforcement? As I know it's just been 3 years with this county, but you've been around for a long time doing this.
I have been around a long time, and prior to being sheriff at Tarrant County, I was chief of public safety at the city of Dalworthington Gardens, where I had the privilege of directing the fire, police, and emergency medical services, along with the jail there and a dispatch center.
Very cool, very cool. I want to try and put into contents for the audience more the geographic area what you're dealing with. Tarrant County is roughly 450 miles north of Brooks County, Texas. And people will remember when we did our third border tour, we were up there and we were with Sheriff Benny Martinez. Brooks County is roughly 75 miles north of the Rio Grande between Brownsville, Texas and McAllen. So you're about 525 miles north of the Rio Grande. Would that be correct?
That's pretty close. That is accurate.
And dealing with a problem just as difficult and as in depth as if you were physically on the Rio Grande.
That is correct. I believe that we're all on the border now in a lot of ways.
Exactly. Yeah, it almost seems like New York's on the border. You have Border Patrol office in the county, and you also have ICE agents that work in the jail. They have their own office in the jail there.
Yeah, we have. There's a couple of ICE agents that are stationed here, but we do what is called the 287G program, where our people are here 24/7 on those issues.
Okay, gotcha. You happen to have a trafficking route that comes right into your county from the border, Brooks County, and then to either via Highway 281 or the I-35 corridor, and there's a couple others that mix in there. What's your biggest route, you think, where you're dealing with the most illegal type activities?
Well, I-35 is the busiest road in America today, and that corridor right there is we do a lot of interdiction on that. But you're right about 281. We also have another highway, 287, and then of course I-20, which runs east and west. All of those are corridors that we have dealt with traffic.
Gotcha. Now, let me ask a question here. When we were doing the border tours and we're driving up these routes, we come across the checkpoints, and we know that, prior to the checkpoints, the coyotes will let them out to where they go off into the fields or wherever, and then they have to work their way up past the checkpoint to be picked up that then continued up to counties like yours. Do we have a mechanism in place that, I mean, I would think maybe drones or more law enforcement presence in the air between the checkpoint and anywhere north before they start getting up towards you. Is that something that requires more funding to try and cut that traffic down?
I believe they have deployed drones and continue to deploy drones down there, but we do need more technology on the border. There's no question about that, and more drone units would be great. And of course, just securing the border would be a fabulous step forward.
Yeah, we've been trying to push the terror block system. I don't know if you've heard about that yet, but hopefully we can get something done with it if, you know, come November election, once we get that behind us. I've heard you discuss a multiple department intelligence network that works on busting up these stash houses along the way. Can you explain to the audience a little bit about how these stash houses work and, you know, what all's involved with that, with you guys taking them out?
Is the way the stash house works, a lot of times that everybody comes across that border owes something or has paid something to the cartel. There are times where the cartel simply allows them to come across and they have to pay them back. And those people end up in these stash houses. And they're along the corridors that they travel, including Tarrant County and including other counties along the way, and some just inside Mexico and just outside of Mexico. But they're generally there. They generally work off what they owe, and they generally will have somebody there that's a keeper, meaning that person there is an enforcer. And we've interviewed those people who have been enforcers, and their whole job is to make sure these people don't run off until they have paid their bill, as it were. And so they're basically being labor trafficking for the most part. Some of them probably are sex trafficking, depending on what the situation is. And our intel department works along that corridor with multiple agencies and does interview on different people. And we've been fortunate enough to find a couple of those stash houses and actually take them down.
Would it be fairly accurate to say that no one gets across that border without making some type of a deal with the drug cartels?
That would be perfectly accurate based on everything that we understand and all intel from our Border Patrol partners.
Gotcha. We heard from Border Patrol, law enforcement, and immigration experts that almost 100% of the people that cross make a deal with the cartel. And, you know, I'm sure that, you know, there's one or two younger people that are from Mexico, maybe that aren't as quite in that, but, you know, it's hard to get people to realize, at least I've found that on our end, just how big this cartel thing is. There's so many of them, and if we don't get operating again in Central and South America and Mexico like we did back in the 80s, for instance, the situation's just going to get worse. You know, we've got to be, I believe we need to label them what they are, which is a terrorist organization. But also I do believe that at some point we've got to be involved there, because when I was in back up way before law enforcement, when I was in the Army in aviation, we did a lot of work in Mexico and Central and South America on the drug war, you know, the Reagan drug war. And we did a lot of good. And it was definitely stopping a lot of what we see now. You generally see more weapons and drug smuggling than human trafficking in your area. Would that be correct?
That is correct. We do see our ample of weapons and drugs, and all of it's mixed together. It's at the same trough.
Right. Want to go through a few questions real quick for the audience. On an average, you have approximately 4,100 inmates in the jail at any given day.
That is correct.
That's a pretty big population. Your total gross population of illegal aliens is 8%, which is roughly 330 on any given day.
That is also
on average. I've heard out of those 330 illegal aliens, you have 24 different countries being represented.
yes, sir. That is accurate.
You know, when we were down there on this last trip, sir, we came across things that were Muslim, had Muslim writing on them, Muslim tags, which was highly frightening. And then we had agents on the border, when we turned that over to them, tell us that they had just busted up some Iranians that were coming across the border. Have you seen much from the Middle East countries?
So alarming amount of number of people coming across that border are Middle Easterns. We're seeing a few of those here, not like they are at the border crossing, but we do see a few of them. But I've been down at the border too, and it's alarming the number of Middle Easterns that come across it. I see something setting up. It's very, very scary, that I hope that we can really stay on top of it. I've heard from the last tally about a month ago, roughly 11 murders, several kidnappings, traffickers, promoters of prostitution, as well as an astounding 70 inmates out of 330 illegal aliens for aggravated sexual assault of children. Would that be correct? That is correct. And it should also be noted, as the children that are being sexually assaulted are the illegal immigrant families, and they're coming forward, and fortunately, and we're able to prosecute these people.
So looking at this, we're talking about if 70 out of 330 are for aggravated sexual assault of children, that's 21% of the population.
That is a large percentage, isn't it?
Wow. Unbelievable. Out of the other 3,750 inmates, roughly, which are not illegal aliens, what percentage you believe in the jail have the same type charges as far as against children are concerned?
I would say that probably about 4% at the most of that group over in the jail.
Okay. So I think it's fair to say, from everyone that we've talked to, with Border Patrol, with Homeland Security, with the different sheriff's departments, city police down on the border, that most of the sex trafficking and issues dealing with rape and kidnapping of children are the same people that are doing the drugs and the violent gang activity. And that's all those that came to America from our southern border. Correct?
I think that's a very accurate picture. I do.
Yeah. What can we do, if anything, to, besides doing a show like this and sharing with our audience what you're up against? Is there any type of legislation in Texas that we should help get behind or push to help you guys out money-wise, or helping to get more law enforcement officers in your county, or equipment?
Well, I appreciate that. Starting at the top, of course, we all need to push for federal legislation, especially. That's where the key is. In Texas, I'm very proud of our legislatures. Texans are spending almost $200 billion a year on border security. We've got rangers down there, game wardens down there, DPS is down there, and we're trying to do the best we can. We're just still overwhelmed with some loopholes in federal laws. But I'd also encourage your audiences is look around. It is that season. We need to keep strong legislators in office that will help us with that, and we need to keep strong sheriffs in office that will govern and go after these bad guys that won't become sanctuary cities. And like in Texas, most of the sheriffs are on the ballot this year, including me. And we need to keep those people reelected so that we continue this philosophy of that we're not going to be a sanctuary state or county.
Amen. Sheriff, thank you so much for joining us and sharing with us the situation you have there in your county. You are a great American patriot. We thank you for your service, and we're going to support you 100%. Appreciate it, sir.
Thank you, Doug, and you guys have a great day.
I, Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic. All righty, and once again, I want to thank Sheriff Bill Wayborn for joining us tonight to share his perspective on what's happening in his county. And that's just one, it's like when we interviewed last year, Sheriff Martinez, just one area out of literally thousands that are affected by this problem. When we were down on the border, it was 2 weeks ago now, there was, and you guys haven't even seen the video we did on this yet. It's one of many that we have yet to be able to have out, but we will. It's coming out. But we went and we talked to some protesters that were on the border. And one of the things that this group was saying, and when you put facts to them, they start just randomly pulling shit out of the air that they want to claim are facts. But when I was breaking down the illegal criminal element, what was said to me, and it was just so astounding that somebody would think this way, was that more Americans commit crimes in America than illegal immigrants. So why am I not as passionate about that? And I wanted to, I won't tell you what I wanted to do, but think about that for a second. How stupid of a comment that was. Okay, so yes, I'm against all crimes in America. Yes, I worked in law enforcement for many years. Yes, I want to see Americans that commit crimes go to prison. But an illegal alien, it's in the name, illegal. They're not supposed to be here in the first damn place. So you want to tell me more Americans commit crimes than illegal? Of course, because there's more Americans here, more American citizens. This is America. They illegally came across the border and then committed a crime. We joke about Tide Pod eaters, these crazy ass liberals. I'm serious. I really do think there's some type of a mentally deranged thing going on with some of these folks and the arguments they have. It just, you cannot, and here we're at an actual checkpoint where people can legally come across, and they do so on a daily basis to work in America, and then go back across the end of the evening at their own home in Mexico where they live and they're proud of. And a quarter mile down the road, there's people crossing the Rio Grande. Why do you think that is? It's because they can't get in any other way because of their background. Then they said, oh, well, we think it's wrong that children are in cages and removed from their parents, and how hateful is that of the Trump administration. Well, guess what, snowflakes? If you are anywhere in America as an American citizen and you do a crime and your child is with you or in the car with you, Do you think for 1 second when they put your ass in jail, they're putting your kid in there with you? Hell no. The good thing is they have the ability to reach out to your family member to come get the kid. And if not, CPS comes and gets them and they go into custody. They're not going into jail with you. It's the same thing with these people. If they're bringing a kid over with them, first off, we're finding out, and this is factual information, we've already exposed a lot of this and brought it to you, that most of these kids are not their kids. There's somebody that was paid money to bring the kid across, and most of them are sexually assaulting the kid. And you think we should leave the kid with them in a jail cell or in a cage? That's how crazy this shit is. That's how insane these people think. You know, we can't pick up the phone and call their mommy or daddy that sent them. What kind of parent does that? With this coyote to cross the border, you know, down in Venezuela or whatever. Hey, you know, we arrested Juan here. He's going to jail. You want to come get your kid? Or what do you want us to do with your kid? Send him back across? You know, wake up, people. Drives me nuts.
All right, so Doug, we've got
here's my producer Dustin Golden. What do we have, my friend?
We've got a couple of callers on the line. Before we get to them, we'll take a quick little levity break here. Snow Bunny, one of the fans in the chat, just sent this over to me while you were doing the interview with Sheriff Wayborn and asked me to share it with you. So we'll do this before we probably get into some serious calls. So a little comedy break for a second. She wanted me to show this to you, Doug. She made this for you. This is fan art right here. You like that?
I do. That kind of looks like my stalker.
Yes, she believes he looks like the Grinch. So it's me.
I see. You put his face up there too. I'll be damned. Well, thank you very much for that. There he is.
Doogie Ducote the Grinch. Oh. So anyway, let's go to, we've got a couple callers in the line. If you guys want to get on, we'll probably do a few calls so we can take a couple more in here. But let's go to Chris from upstate New York, and then we'll jump over to Andy from Colorado. So Chris from upstate New York, you are on with Douglas Ducote.
What are you looking at? Oh, he's on the phone.
Hey, Douglas, how's it going, American Patriot?
Hey, doing great, brother. Thank you. How are you?
Pretty good, Douglas. I've been listening to your podcast, brother, and I am also a veteran. I'm a Navy veteran, so, you know, a squid, I guess, in your neck of the woods. But I really appreciate you and what you do, Douglas. I've been listening to you for a while, and I appreciate you standing up for the cause of freedom, standing up for President Trump, and standing up against these Tide Pod eating Democrats. You've used that term a few times, and I like it, Douglas. I'm going to coin that.
You go right ahead and do that, brother. Thank you.
Well, from one vet to another, Douglas, you stand up for the military and for veterans, and I caught your live podcast your conversation with Sheriff Wayborn of Tarrant County. I'm actually from Texas. You can tell I don't sound like an upstate New Yorker. I'm up here because my wife's from a little town of Ilion, and which is about 10 miles east of Utica. But what I wanted to discuss with you is being a Texan. I'm from San Antonio originally. That's where I popped out. So I'm 140 miles roughly from the Rio Grande border to Mexico, my home city. And I agree with, we need a border wall, man. And this has been a failure on both sides of the aisle. And I'm not saying this as a card-carrying Republican voter. I'm saying this as a fact. This has been both administrations on both sides of the cotton-picking aisle have dropped the ball on this. And I think we can both agree with that. The Democrats, but the Democrats, I think we can agree. I call them demon rats because these jokers are, like the president says at his rallies, he goes, folks, these people are crazy. They're insane. And he's right. If you listen to Pelosi with her dentures sideways in her mouth when she gets up there and talks, this woman is like, it's like, lady, you're 140 years old. Just go away and die somewhere and get it over with. I mean, I think that woman's beyond Tide Pods, Douglas. I think she's seriously mental. And Chucky Schumer, that guy is, I mean, if brains was dynamite, these Democrats couldn't blow their flipping noses.
Yeah, the older ones,
it's ridiculous.
They were eating the Elmer's glue in class way before Tide Pods were ever invented. That's how they got
well,
today.
Anyway, but Douglas, I tell you, the president's getting his wall built in spite of these obstructionist pukes called the Democrat Party. And you know what?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you this, and you have my permission to use this on your show, brother. The Democrat Party is more dangerous to this country, the United States of America, than a standing invasion army. Because when you're staring a standing invasion army in the face, you know what they're going to do. But these sorry little pukes like Schumer and Pelosi and Schiff, Pencilneck, and all the rest of them, they get up and lie straight to your face and tell you, oh, yeah, we want border security. No, you don't. You little pukes, you want votes. You want these sorry little rat bastard illegals to come over here so you can make nice little Democrat socialist voters out of them. And I know exactly why they want open borders, because they don't ever want it to stop. But you know what? The bottom line is federal law usurps state law. And I tell you, these governors like Cuomo and Comrade Newsom over in California and others like them, they're going to learn the lesson the hard way, Douglas, because Trump's going to cut federal funds to these states. And he has the authority to do that as commander-in-chief. So they're going to learn the hard way. But the sad part about it is, Douglas, the good people in this state that don't have their heads inserted up their hind ends, that actually come up for air once in a while and vote the right way, the bottom line is they're going to pay a price too, because they're living in these blue states that, unfortunately, the majority is Democrat in the state legislatures, and they call the shots. So the people that actually vote the right way, they're going to pay a hefty price too. So that's the downside to that. But President Trump, I tell you, he told Comrade Newsom in California, he said, look, you clean up your state or I will. So I don't think they understand, Douglas. They're going to box. They're going to box with this guy, and they got arms too short. They ain't going to win this fight with Trump. So anyway, I didn't mean to go so long there.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. Thank you very much for your comments. That's great.
I appreciate what you do, man, and keep up the good work.
Thank you, sir. Have a blessed evening.
All right. So now we've got Andy in Colorado. Andy, you are on the show with Douglas Ducote.
Hello, Andy.
Hi, Douglas. Wonderful to speak with you again. We spoke last week on the northern border. And anyway, this time there was one thing that the sheriff said, Douglas, which really warmed my heart when he talked about the children and the women, people coming forward with all of the assaults that are going on, and that they are arresting people. What's happening to me anyway, in my mind, is that people, when they come across the border, that they are knowledgeable that they have someone in authority that they can trust. And maybe that's getting passed back to others. What's your thought on that?
You're right. And, because they're illegal, and even if they've been here for a while and they're illegal, when something happens to them that's bad, they don't want to report it because they're afraid they're going to be deported. Even if they're, that's the only crime they have is they're here illegally. And then they get raped or something happens to one of their kids or they get assaulted. And they, so there are thousands of those cases out there just like that we don't even know about because they deal with it themselves or they don't report it. So, but he's some of these, and that's, let me say this. we have some men and women in law enforcement on that border that have a heart bigger than gold, that do the right thing. And law enforcement isn't all about, taking someone to prison or taking somebody to jail or throwing them in the back of the car. You're allowed to think outside the box in American law enforcement, and you have certain amounts of leeway and ways you can go with certain things. And so it is good when we have those type of officers and leaders in law enforcement that aren't just like, straightforward, this is how it is, and you committed a crime, so oh well, you got raped or whatever. That's not our fault. You go deal with that in your own country and deport your ass out of here. So yeah, I get that. And we do, sadly, and not enough of that gets reported. There are more people being rescued and saved on the border than there are that are being apprehended, for their illegal activities.
I so agree with you. And it's, even though I'm not down there, I haven't been down there, it doesn't matter because I hear enough, I understand enough. In my younger years from 5 to 13, I was a victim of a family member. And it's like you can sense that there are good things going on down there. And what absolutely blows my mind is that I can hardly not talk to my family about anything that is going on to try and help them wake up. My dad passed in November 2011, and actually the day before Veterans Day, so we celebrated his last Veterans Day. But Dad's the only one that I could talk to. And I can't remember if I ever told you one of the last things he said to me before he went into a coma. This is back in 2011, Doug, and he said to me, only me, not anybody else, me. I was the chosen one. And he said, Sandy, something big is coming. Get ready. And he had that look in the eye, like I remembered growing up on the farm. When he had that look in that eye, you paid attention and you listened. I kind of had a gut feeling something was going on. I just hadn't connected some dots, but I paid attention to what he said. And it's like, how did he figure everything out, even back then?
Right.
Yeah,
and I've had you probably heard me tell that story before about my great uncle Charlie Rochelle that served in World War II.
Yeah.
I tell that story often, and where he was, telling me on his last days, this is no longer the America that I served for, and I'm ready to punch out of here, and this is just, I don't know what I'm looking at anymore, and there are days where I say the same thing out loud because it's very frightening what we have walking around us in society and voting. But thank you very much for your call. It's always a pleasure to hear from you, and be safe.
I most certainly will. I am trying to get out of here. I really am.
Good.
So, but I'll pop you an email. And Douglas, thank you so much for everything you do. And I loved your last caller. Oh my gosh, yeah. Walked right into my mind, and I know yours as well. But thank you so much for all your team and everything that you do. You are so appreciated, and I've got goosebumps actually. So, but thank you.
God bless you.
Yeah, I mean, this is why we're opening the phone lines, because we want, not only, for Doug and me to hear like that we're having an effect and getting your feedback, but wanting you guys to hear each other, to understand that there are people out there like you. I mean, at the end of the day, we surround Washington, and sometimes we forget that. I can't read your name. You wanted to talk about legal immigrants came in from a socialist country. Your number starts with 916, so you're on with Douglas Ducote.
Hey, how you doing? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, I do. How are you?
Doug, I've been watching you for years, man. I just want to say you guys are doing an amazing job. My name is Ben Nevezi, and I never thought in my wildest dreams I had come to this country from a socialist country and see a socialist run on the ballot. I never thought in my wildest dreams that people are being persecuted for their religious beliefs, coming from a country where my father was a preacher in Romania, and having the secret police follow him around, and we got asylum to come to this country in the Reagan years in 1983. It took us 6 months to get vetted to come over here. One of my brothers is in law enforcement. Been here since I've been 6 years old. This is not the world that we came here to. This is not what we thought. This is what we're escaping from. And the hell with leaving California. Where do we even go from here, Doug?
I completely understand that frustration. And what I guess the best thing I can say is, first off, welcome to America. And the dream is still there, although it's cluttered with a lot of static right now. And I do believe, because we outnumber those socialists, for instance, we see this huge push on the left to put Bernie Sanders, this admitted socialist, into the White House.
That scares the
and at the same time, we see the Democrat Party, the roots of it going, not no, but hell no, will we allow this to happen. So, even in their own party, they're fighting to stop a socialist takeover. So that's a good thing. And we vote. We keep pressing and putting out the word. We keep letting people know, you got to be involved, actively involved in your community with elections, all the way on up to, it starts at the local level, schools, elementary schools, all the way on up to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
Yeah, and I've the weird thing is, I work with mostly a lot of Hispanics and immigrants from different parts of the world. We do labor and work in carpentry, and there's a lot of labor that are here that are legally, and a lot of them actually don't like Trump. The weird thing is, I go to work and I have a Trump hat, and a lot of them looked at me funny, and it's kind of going, they're talking smack. And then what blows them away, it's like, hey, by the way, I'm an immigrant. I came here because the food aisles were empty at the store, because the government told you what you can and can't do while they're taking a crap on a gold toilet like Ceausescu, and we have this dream of socialism is good and free, but in reality, it's the death of a nation. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's the coup de grace.
I was in Romania in 2003 for about 2 weeks, and it was what I saw at that time, at least in the areas that I was able to be in, was that you were either filthy rich or you had absolutely nothing, and the filthy rich ruled everything you did. And
correct.
And the crime was just ridiculous. We saw a guy literally get thrown off the top of a building after they beat him. I don't know what his crime was. We have no idea what he did, but nobody seemed to care. It was like they just happens. What nothing we could do about it. We couldn't intervene in it, being Americans that are over there temporarily. But hey, Ben, thank you for your call, and God bless you and your family, and just get out there and continue to be a part of society when it comes to voting and spreading the word.
Yes, sir, and God bless you. Carry on, good work.
Yeah, and if you can, just shoot us an email at Douglas@DouglasDucote.com or Dustin@DouglasDucote.com, because I'd like to maybe shoot an interview with you if you're interested, with you and Doug, because this is the kind of stuff we need to put out there. I used to do a lot of this back in 2006 to 2008 with legal immigrants who had come from socialist, communist, dictatorship countries, who would tell their stories, testimonials on video to warn Americans here that we become fat and lazy and we don't actually recognize the problem. Doug was at Politicon back in October. We shot videos with a lot of young kids that were, praising Bernie Sanders or Andrew Yang or Elizabeth Warren.
Oh my
and it's
God.
pretty scary. I mean, and these were indoctrinated kids, but educated kids. They could argue more than just talking points. They were bought and sold on this message. They bought into it. And I watched Doug had a 35-minute conversation with these guys, and it was scary to listen to.
For us, it took a revolution. That's what it took.
Right.
You know.
Well, look,
But I will definitely do that.
Get in touch with you.
I will. I will look up in your link, and I will shoot you my email. Thank you very much, guys. God bless you. Have a good night.
Thank you very
You
much.
too.
All right, I don't know if Taters. Are you saying the call dropped twice on your Taters and Eggs, everybody who's in the chat? This guy is phenomenal, or woman, I don't know, has donated a lot of money through Super Chats. So if you want to try to call again, Taters, or email me right now at dustin@douglasducote.com, and I will get you a private line real quick to call in, because I've been trying to get you to call. I'm like, you donate to the show, you should get on the call. So shoot me an email at dustin@douglasducote.com, and we'll get you on right now. In the meantime, I'm just going to cut over, because I know you guys have been looking for some Super Tuesday updates. I've got a graphic up on the screen, and then I'm just going to cut into Chrissy Piccolo. Bear with her voice. She's been tracking Super Tuesday for us, so while we're waiting for Taters to get on, and then he'll be the last call, I'll have Chrissy just give us updates, because we're obviously not paying attention right now. So let me pull Chrissy in, and I'll pull up a graphic on the screen that I have of the numbers.
Her voice, is she sick?
To me,
You can hear me? I don't know. Minnie Mouse is on helium over here. Can you hear me?
What are you going to say? Is she short next?
You can tell by the voice. But hey, Chrissy, I'm going to pull the graphic up. I'm going to pull the graphic up on the screen right now. But from what I'm seeing, is it looked like the Democrat establishment's plan over the last 48 hours to consolidate support around Sleepy Joe seems to be working.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, right now it looks like he's won 5 states: Alabama, Oklahoma, Tennessee, North Carolina, and Virginia. And Bernie Sanders won Vermont and Colorado, which is really weird. In Texas and California, the last I see, I don't have any totals for them yet. But, I mean, they're all rallying behind Biden. I mean, Dustin and I were talking about this earlier. I mean, we're thinking, it's going to end up being Michelle Obama maybe on the ticket, or something's going to happen, because it's just so weird what's going on, I swear.
That would be scary, but I'm looking right now at the newest results right in here from Google. That's usually pretty accurate, because they pull from different news networks and then steal the data and don't give credit to everyone else. But they've now got Biden also with Arkansas. So they have Alabama, Arkansas. So it's 2. Massachusetts, they got him in the lead. Minnesota 1, so that's 3. North Carolina 4. Oklahoma 5. Tennessee 6. Virginia 7. So they have him winning 7, and he's in the lead now. Everything I studied everything in California, because that's obviously the prize. And in California, they've already set up the fix in California, because the primary is today, March 3rd. They're saying they don't have to report the results until April 10th.
Yeah.
So they're literally the primary will be today, and we have a month and a week to cheat.
It's ridiculous. I mean, seriously, I can't get over that these people, I mean, like, it's totally a setup. I mean, and I'm sorry, people may comment. I mean, listen, the whole thing is rigged as far as I'm concerned. I mean, if they can set that up, I mean, why are they even bothering here, is what my point is.
I don't know. I don't know if you saw this, Doug, but I saw Bernie come out today, and he basically was like, well, it's rigged, and they don't want us to win, and they're going to steal it from us. It was almost like I said, well, oh, they must have came and gave him the $12 million, and he's ready to take off now.
It's so funny.
Absolutely insane.
I don't know.
I mean, look,
what do you think, Doug?
I think you should buy yourself some D95 mask because I think your state's getting the coronavirus pretty bad.
Yeah, I would say.
I know. Well, you know.
I would say to you, Chrissy, stay away from nursing homes.
Yeah.
Yeah, nursing. I'm so glad I'm in the boondocks because there's hardly any people here. So at least that's that. But you know, I have to get on the bus. So who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah, we're planning a trip, Chrissy. We're all Team Ducote to go to Hawaii for 2 weeks, and then we went. Wait, Chrissy lives where the coronavirus is, so you can come with us, but we're going to have you quarantine while we're over there.
Oh no! All right, so you'll leave me in El Paso. You guys will go down to the border, and I'll be stuck with all the crazy people.
We're going to just put you on a boat out to sea and anchor it. We'll wave at you from the beach.
There you go. Oh my God! Well, all I know is that we've got to get this stuff under control. I mean, it's getting crazy between that and the Super Tuesday. I don't know. I mean, here in Washington, we do our vote stuff next Tuesday, so I'm sure there's going to be a lot to report. Who knows? It's crazy out here.
Well, we'll see. I mean, look, I think this Super Tuesday is going to say a lot, and they hold back. I mean, look, California is the prize on delegates. They hold that back. Then the negotiating is going to take place behind the scenes tomorrow. And literally, you know, what did Warren and Bloomberg pull about 4 delegates apiece? So, you know, Bloomberg is, I think, just in it to show that he's willing to invest his money. He's been doing it for years, but he wants to buy a piece of the platform, I think. Maybe even become the head of the DNC and run the party. He was effective.
Warren should just stop.
Warren, I think, was hanging in there for a VP slot. But I mean, my personal opinion, and this would be so horrible for our country, but it's now coming out that Obama, who was appearing to be quiet on this, was the one working behind the scenes and negotiated Mayor Pete to go endorse Biden, and he was the one who apparently negotiated the Amy Klobuchar endorsement. So I think the last 48 hours, he came to the table with the establishment Democrats, with Biden behind the scenes, said, I'll negotiate this and put it together. My biggest fear has always been Michelle Obama, so it would be the craziest thing in the world if he picked her as VP, and then literally right after the Democrat convention, they go, oh, never mind, he is senile. Yep. She's going to be the candidate.
Yep, exactly. I mean, she's going to get the black vote, the gay vote, the tranny vote, the women vote. I mean, and I've always said it's scary. It scared me. And I said to you even a few months ago, I said, wait, they'll announce it in April. I said April. And Oprah Winfrey has had her on her little tour all over the country, bringing Michelle Obama out, you know, prancing her around, and she's got her book out. The woman is everywhere. So, you know, it would not surprise me, and it would be a very scary thing.
Doug, do you think Biden's campaign slogan will be Joe Biden, dog face pony soldier? Do you think that will be his slogan?
I can tell you this much. Whatever the slogan is, they need to keep it very short and simple, or he will forget it.
I personally wanted to see Bernie because I really did want America and conservatives in this country to have to face the fact when you saw the final polls on the popular vote going, holy crap, 49% of our country voted for a naked communist. And then you know that like every other house in your block as communists. I think that would have been the biggest wake-up call on the planet. Sadly, I just think they're going to do a trick where Biden backs off and they have whoever it's going to be fill in. Because
this is what happens when you strip history out of the classroom. Then the kids grow up not knowing that we fought communism and we had a Cold War for all these years, and now they're trying to elect the communist because they don't know about the history of communism.
No, it's like we were saying. It was like we were saying to that caller. I was just going to say, it was like we were
how
saying.
Do you change the core founding of?
Yeah. No, you can go.
Go ahead.
No,
I was just going to say, how do you change the core founding of the country? You take away the history, and then you indoctrinate a whole new, history. That's how they do it. That's how they're doing it. That's why America is in the position we're in now. It's a hot mess, and it's very sad. And I mean, we're getting to the point where everybody's going to have to, start, standing up, and we're going to have to really start doing some serious stuff here.
Look, I've heard Doug talk about this in depth with the 20-year-old conservative Magdalene Rose, both on her show and his show, several times, and I've heard her talk about it because she's building a 10-year plan on a real homeschool education course, and she brought it up to Doug that in schools, and I see it with my kids, we don't learn about anything really past World War II. You don't learn about any of the new wars, any of the new conflicts that went on. Really, World War II brought our country together. Some would argue, we made some dumb mistakes during that with some socialism under FDR and others, but it was the last time the whole country had to sacrifice together. People moved to work in factories. You had to not use certain metals. I mean, it was a national sacrifice that brought the country together. 9/11, on 9/12, we all came together, and literally on 9/13, we all forgot. And, so when you're not teaching that in the schools, obviously, it's not even that they're not teaching history, it's that they're teaching fake history, so they're lying through omission and commission. And to be able to fight back, the sad part is we're multiple generations into this now. So the teachers in the schools were brought up through that system, the new teachers, and they were brought up through these liberal progressive universities. So you end up in a situation now where the people teaching the kids were already indoctrinated through that very system. So when they get that training book, you talk to any teacher running under a Common Core model, they'll tell you, we don't teach, we just basically instruct out of a manual that, they don't even necessarily challenge it. And they were brought up in this world to get your paycheck and who cares, and they read it. Now, some of the older teachers of my kids, you'll have conversations with them, and they are good. And a lot of them that are math teachers will say, I teach the Common Core math to get them to pass the test, but I spend 70% of my class, I could get fired for it teaching them real math because I'm just not going to destroy these kids' future.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Very good.
All right,
So
well, I think Tater's didn't email me. So, Tater, listen, what I'll do is email me at Dustin@DouglasDucote.com. I will give you a private call-in line, so on the next show you can get on first, and you don't have to wait in the normal call queue. So do that, and then thank you for the updates, Chrissy. I think we'll wrap this one up. But I just wanted to say before we go, too, guys, if you can, we sent out an email before the show. We're going to be doing a lot of border-related interviews and stuff this next month. I know people have been asking. So we are gearing up to finally get back out on the road. We'd like to go, for just 30 days straight, the whole border and back. I put in the email some of the things we're going to be doing. Instead of staying in hotels, cutting costs, going RV. We've got rental equipment. We are going to stream some of the interviews live from there. Some of the stuff up in the mountains we're not going to be able to do with the technology that's available at a reasonable cost. So we've got the new fundraising up at donorbox.org/border. And then you can always go to bordercommand.com. We're going to be emailing more about this and building this up. So we're either going to keep doing it in smaller trips, or if we end up, raising enough, we'll just do the whole thing, because it'd be nice to shoot it all at once, and it's cheaper to do it, a month, booking everything for a month. But we'll do it in any way you guys, get on board with this thing. But we got to get back out there. Doug's made a ton of contacts. I've got contacts now that are calling me that I've been looping Doug in with. Chrissy's been talking to people about a research project she's been working on. So she's given me contacts. So we've got people all across the border now, from militia, Border Patrol, Customs, law enforcement. And then we have all the immigration experts over at Center for Immigration Studies that have been very generous with their time. So we're getting back out there. We're going to bring you the unfiltered truth, good, bad, or ugly. Like Doug always says, we send people to Washington, Republican or Democrat, to represent us, to support and defend the Constitution. If they're not, we call them out no matter what party they are. So that's why we're going out there. So let's wrap this one up, Doug.
All righty. Thank you very much, Dustin. I'd like to say again, a special thank you to Sheriff Bill Wayborn for coming on with us tonight. Chrissy Piccolo for giving us the update on what the Democrats are looking like tonight. I want to take a moment to discuss something that is no longer serious, something that we can laugh about, take us a little back from all the craziness. And that is my beard. So here's the deal. When No Shave November rolled around, I decided that I wasn't going to shave for November. And then after No Shave November, we ran into December and January and February. And here we are now, March 3rd. And the wife has put her foot down. And she said that either I go back to the goatee or I trim this up really, really nice and close. And if I don't, then I will go in the backyard with Sally, our outdoor lab that refuses to be indoors. She has a wonderful big enclosed 10 by 10 by 6 doghouse, lots of room. The wife said that that will be the new place to live if I want to live like a mountain man. So I have to tell you all that this beard, well, let me sum it up like this. I went to Academy today and I purchased a cot and a sleeping bag. And I got some of those insect repellents that I can put around the cot. And Sally and I are going to get along really, really well in the backyard. Just kidding. We're going to trim this up. I decided to go ahead, and she's right. I don't know what I was thinking, but anyhow,
I saw her just pop into the chat, Doug. So you said that at the right time. I guess you could sleep inside tonight.
That's great. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in tonight. You've got other things you can be doing, but you take the time to listen to what I have to say, and that is what makes this worth doing. You know that you can get the truth here, you can get the facts here, and you also know that when I make mistakes, I'm the first person to come out and say I made the mistake and I got it wrong, and we correct that. That's the difference between what I do and what a lot of the others do. There are a lot of good conservatives and Republican American patriots out there on YouTube that are doing wonderful work as well as I do, and please reach out and support them. We're doing the Patriot panel on Monday nights. It rotates around. I'm not sure whose channel it's going to be on next Monday, but I'll be putting out a video and talking about it soon. Plus, we have mentioned it on the next show. Which channel it'll be on? It was on American Joe yesterday, and eventually it's going to come back around to my platform. But we're splitting that up and we're rotating it to where these American patriots that are on YouTube can expand their audience, and by doing so and their information, expand everyone's knowledge. It's all about the truth. It's all about exposing the liberals and the far left and the Democrats that want to change our country and not for the better. And everyone has to be aware of that. And what we do at Team Ducote is not for me, it's for you. I've got a million other things I could be doing with my life. I've served my country with honor in law enforcement and the military, but I choose to continue doing this. This is my way of continuing to give back to my country, and that is by giving you something that you can't get from the mainstream media. And let me tell you just real quick how good we've done on this border. We took a lot of our film footage from the border last year that we did, and my producer made a contact over at Fox News and said, can you get Doug to come on any of the shows to discuss what we've exposed and what we've seen on that border? It's very important that the American people know about this. And he said, send it over and we'll see what we can do. And what did they do? They took what we did and repeated it. They sent their own people down there to talk to the exact same people we have been interviewing and talking to, and then started all of a sudden bringing the border back up again. And they followed our pattern, identical. And that is very, very sad. We got no credit for it. Nobody said anything other than good day, just it is what it is. So in the future, we're not going to do that unless we have a personal friend at a media company. We're no longer going to share. When you can't share, when you're independent like we are, and we rely on you, the American patriots, to help support what we're doing when we're out in the field and we're doing these interviews, when you can't talk to the mainstream media and get them to throw you a bone, basically, and let you show the American people on a larger audience what's happening, and they steal your stuff and your idea, well, that just goes to prove that there needs to be a bigger audience of people like myself that are willing to put everything out there to do something to help the American people past November, past the 2020 elections, and beyond. If you haven't already done so, please go over to douglasducote.com and sign up with your email address so you can get updates in our newsletter. As always, please say a prayer for our men and women serving the United States military, our veterans, our law enforcement officers, first responders, their families, our Blue and Gold Star families, our Angel families, our president, and our country. God bless you, everyone, and I hope you have a wonderful and blessed evening. I'm Douglas Ducote, and I'm out.
I, Douglas Ducote, an American patriot by the grace of God, do solemnly swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America from enemies foreign and especially domestic.